Okay, so it's time to do an LR tier list. It's been a minute since I've done these. I believe I did one live before part 2 dropped, but a lot of things have changed since part 2 has dropped, where the part 2 units are just absolutely insane, off the wall, crazy, and stuff like that. And then we also had the part 3 Easy A's, so now all of the major players have kind of come into the fold here within the game. I don't foresee another set of like yearly anniversary LRs or like a part EX with 2 crazy Easy A's coming in and shaping up this list. If that's the case, then oh well. But I think we have everything that we need to kind of start rating these units. So you can see in no order in the bottom the top 10 units that I have in the game right now, and we will be ordering them from 1 to 10. I figured, or 10 to 1, excuse me. Honorable mentions, I don't really feel that there was a need for them, but a lot of units that you could consider would be units like Bulma, Sword of Hope, Trunks, just units that don't make the cut on the main team. So that has to be kind of set up front. Now, let's get into the obvious disclaimers that we got to do with these top 10. All of these are based on my playing experience in the game. When I do not have a unit in the game, I will disclose that and let you know when I have not played with them myself, other side from like a friend lead or something like that, but I will make sure that is known when that time comes. And all of these units are evaluated under my opinion, and it is subject to change, and they are also based on the hardest fights in the game and all that fun stuff. So nothing to really elaborate on much further. Let's go ahead and get started at number 10, and at number 10 I have STR Future Gohan. Now, STR Future Gohan has fallen off a bit from where I had him on the last list, just kind of based on the way that the hard content has kind of reshifted with the part 3 bosses. A lot of things have changed, and that has altered some of the positions. But when we look at LR Future Gohan, there's a lot of good stuff that he is doing with his raising defense, greatly raising defense on his 12th key, doing a lot of supers, creating his domain against extreme class enemies. But where you're really losing value with this guy's domain is the fact that all of the hard fights in the game have kind of transitioned over to superclass bosses with Gogeta, Beast Gohan, and there's the one fight against Broly that's from the 9th anniversary battle, but I don't believe that there is enough characters in the extreme class, at least, I'm sorry, bosses that are in the extreme class to really warrant this guy being much further than 10. You could probably move him up a little bit, but the baseline damage reduction is good. And then we have another damage reduction right here, and launch an additional attacking keys 18 or more. So 40% damage reduction is obviously nice with the defense and stuff like that. And then we also have this intro buff, or not intro buff, but the beginning damage reduction with the 40%. But the problem is that these fights are going well further than 5 turns these days. So, you know, you're kind of losing that a bit, and things can be a little bit tricky when you get past that. So I still think this unit's phenomenal. I mean, saying you're in the top 10 in a murderer's row like this of units, I'd say that is definitely a respectable position. If you want to move them up higher, I would understand that, but for now I'm going to have him at 10. And that's going to move us to number 9, and that is the Broly Trio. Now, the Broly Trio's Easy A is phenomenal. I think of all the units on this list, their Easy A was like the most impactful in terms of going from like almost like they had niche usage, but all of a sudden they just became insane after their Easy A. Like let me make sure this is the Easy A version that we're looking at here. So we have everything right here. Like, look at everything that they're doing here on this passive. And like, if we go to the pre-Easy A, it's like they still have like a decent bit, but like you go to the Easy A and it's just like, whoa, they become a whole new unit, right? They have the attack and defense per key sphere obtained. They have the additional key. They give support with different types of, we get tech or ink key spheres, they're getting support. If we get a certain amount of orbs, they have guaranteed dodging at the bottom. And they also have they basically become like, they have a physical, like, it's like a nuking leader skill almost type of effect, right? Where it's like they change all key spheres to physical key spheres, which makes the whole board 23 physical key spheres. So that's a big heal up when you get to that point. They have randomly changing, they're an orb changer. They have additional super attack when damage reduced dice to all movie bosses at 24 key, which is super easy to get. So they're giving support for units like Broly and stuff like that. Now, with the super bosses category, which is probably where you want to be running these guys, movie bosses, super bosses, maybe join forces, but JP is actually missing a key player in that, and that is the physical Goku Black that just came out over on Global. It's weird to say that, but it's true, because there's kind of a lack of categories here. So like super bosses is where you want to use them, I would say, but the problem with the super bosses teams, it's just not there yet, and especially considering the way it's scaled, I just don't foresee you using them very often in much fights these days, because the super bosses category is just not built for some of these harder fights. So number 9, I have the Broly Trio, still a phenomenal unit, just needs a few more pieces to really kind of shine the way that they should. So let's go ahead and move into number 8, excuse me. And at number 8, I have the Blue Boys. Now, the Blue Boys, they are phenomenal. Again, this is another example of a unit that was doing nothing, and then all of a sudden they just became an absolute machine. Like, the attack that these guys are putting out, the the lowering of attack that they can do when bosses can be debuffed. They're doing 3 to 4 to 5 supers. They're lowering attack on all those supers. They're doing crits out the wazoo. They're doing damage reduction with the rainbow orbs that they're receiving. They get the damage reduction on their active skill. They are doing so much good and so much damage to these bosses that type advantage, disadvantage doesn't even really affect them as much as it would to other units, right? Just the amount of damage they're doing, it is absolutely bonkers, right? So I have these guys at number 8. You could probably move them up a little bit higher, but I just think with the most recent wave of units that we've been seeing, it's really hard to sort of put them much higher because we are just in an absolute crazy power creep and set of units. So I think that what these guys do, what they do bring to the table, especially with this guy, is they are on the Reps of U17, which got an absolute monster buff. We'll talk about them later. And we also have the what's it called? The Superheroes team. If you fit on Beast Gohan's team, you're good to go. I feel like you guys probably know who number 1 is. I don't really feel like that's much of a hot take. But number 8, I have the Blue Boys. I think that they are phenomenal. And the next few spots, I feel like could be interchanged extremely quick. Like this was the hardest part of the tier list to me. But at number 7, and it pains me to do this because I love these guys, I have the Gammas. I think, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move them up. Number 7, I have Broly. I think Broly not being on the superhero team is big. Because the superhero team is very important, right? And Broly he does fit the team with Miraculous Awakening, so I guess you could say that. I don't know. This is the toughest spot right here. It's like you could go either way right here. Man. I'm gonna go the Gammas above because Broly has a domain that works like really is really counterproductive with his team, because Super Bosses is a team that's loaded up with domains, and that's like the primary team you're going to be wanting to run this guy on. But I think this guy has like the most impressive ceiling offensively of any unit in the game. I think that domain effect and stuff like that, when he transforms, he gets that out, he's doing 4 supers, all of them over 20 million. Like, it is absolutely insane what this guy is doing, and I think it's really tough to put this guy at 6 or 7, but I think because of the fact that he is not like a missing the superheroes category is a bit of a deal, because like say you don't want to run Gohan as the leader for whatever reason, he would not fit on the team because Miraculous Awakening is part of Gohan's leader skill. So that is the only reason I'm going to put him below the Gammas. And I also think that the fact that his domain is overlapping with, and you can't do that, right? It's like it doesn't work where you have domains with the Rose Goku Black that's going to be coming to JP. You have a domain with the what is it, the Tech Merge Zamasu. There's just like the future of this team, and that's not why I'm evaluating him, just because of the future of the team. The fact that he also has domain issues with Fuse Zamasu, who's like the second best unit on Super Bosses, that's where it really gets tricky, right? Because like, especially because Global's getting those buffs right now, and it is really weird to say that, where it's like Kefla's on Super Bosses, and you have, who's the other one on Super, Goku Black is on Super Bosses, and you have units like Kale and Caulifla getting their Easy A's and stuff like that, and it just makes it a bit messy. But I'd say all in all, I don't think that this Broly, I haven't, like I said, so I forgot to mention this is a unit that I do not have, and the same goes for the Gammas. So I just kind of have to go off my own evaluation from what I've seen, and that is what I think. I think this guy is 7, I think the Gammas are 6, and the only reason I have the Gammas at 6 over Broly is because of the superheroes category, and that is, the superheroes category is 7 miles above whatever category is at number 2 right now. So the Gammas, I think this is a very fun unit. Turn 1, they can be a little bit susceptible to damage, but the standby is super cool. The attack that they could do, it was really funny when they were bugged out, but it's like gain additional attack and defense with 50%, reduce damage received by 30% starting from this turn. Every time that character performs a third attack, which is super easy to get, they're giving this crazy amount of supports to units like Gamma 1, giving support to defense. Like if you run these guys with Gamma 1 and you run them with 17, the MVP 17, it is crazy how high defense can get with this unit. So the support that they're giving to superheroes on the best team in the game, I think that's very important. Now granted, their full support that they can get, which is like absolutely bonkers, you cannot get usually with most of the units in this game, because how many units are going to be on Superheroes, Joint Forces, and Defenders of Justice? It is very small. So you're only going to be getting a certain amount of support, right? So chance to perform crit and all that. I think these guys are phenomenal, and again, having them at 6 is definitely a good thing. Like they are the 6th best unit in the game with 10 LRs that are like on a scale of 1 to 10, like all of them are like an 8.5 plus. I think that's good. So the Gammas I have at 6, and this is a unit I do not have, so I just want to let that be known. So at number 5, I have LR Carnival Gogeta. Now Gogeta, this is a super good unit, right? Effective against all types. He's got crazy attack potential. He has great defensive utility, but the only problem is in base, despite the guard, he still is a little bit susceptible to damage. But I do think The main issue with this guy for me is that he becomes dodge or die, and dodge or die units can be very frustrating. And this guy's offensive consistency is insane, right? You go into Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, you're ripping off 3 to 4 supers. They're all effective against all types. You've got the taunt mechanic, which is giving you guaranteed dodging, so that protects a rotation. That's the additional defensive utility that you have. You're an orb changer, getting your 24 key is easy. We have a critical hit chance plus 20% per attack evaded, so you're dodging 4 to 5 attacks. With that standby, you basically have a 100% chance to perform a crit if you're in slot 2. Great chance to nullify key-based super attacks. Yep, so key-based super attacks is a very good counter because a lot of these hard bosses do key blast supers, but we are kind of reaching that age and power creep where the bosses are starting to do like combination super attacks, and that means that they aren't going to be key-based, so that is kind of annoying. But additional attack and defense plus 100% launching super attack and stuff like that. This guy at 55%, but especially when he's after his like taunt turn and stuff like that, we're talking about like a 13 million super attack, and then he's ripping off like another 9 million, then a 10 million. Like he is doing crazy damage, and he also has that defensive utility of dodging as well as the taunt. So I think this guy is doing everything that you need him to do. It could be a little bit better in base for his defense and will be a little bit more dupe reliant, but I do think with that taunt alone, the defensive utility is there, because especially when you combine that with the superheroes team's ability, where you have like Orange Piccolo who can take away an AoE, Beast Gohan who can also do a taunt, and it's just like you could literally have like a 5 or 6 turn stretch, maybe a little bit less than that, but like a 4 turn stretch where you have some type of nullification on the enemy where they just can't do anything, right? Where it's like, let's just say turn 1 you do one of Beast's taunts, turn 2 you do Gogeta's taunt, turn 3 you do Orange Piccolo, turn 4 you do the other Beast taunt, and that's just like 4 turns of just doing damage to the enemy, and there isn't really much damage they can do back to you. And I think that's the start with this Gogeta right here. So I have Gogeta at 5. Let me make sure he's on the list where he needs to be. Yes, he is. So now we have reached the final 4. Now, I'm sure the final 4 was very predictable, but at number 4, I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't have him at 1. I'm going to put Orange Piccolo. I think Orange Piccolo saw, like, if this list came out 4 days ago and we didn't have as many AoEs in the game, he'd be like down here. But the fact that now a lot of the hard content in the game, the Gogeta fight, one of the Broly fights, they have AoEs again. And it's like the Beast fight of the Super Memorial thing. I'm pretty sure that has a countdown. And you can kind of work around the countdown with this guy right here. So again, his active skill proving to be the best in the game. The only close second to me is Beast Gohan when it comes to his active skill effects. And we're just going to continue to talk about this with Piccolo, right? Orange Piccolo, I mean, the only turn where this guy is really in a problem and can get you killed is when you run out of that guard initially after the intro buff wears off and he takes a super, right? Like in the Trunks difficult fight, he got locked slot 1 for me and took like 900k from a super because he was locked at slot 1. But the way that this guy complements Beast Gohan, and the way that he also has his active skill utility, which takes away, you have to talk about it, it takes away the super, it takes away the AoEs, which Beast Gohan cannot take away an AoE. He can take away the super in the form of taking the super himself. And it's the same thing with Gogeta, right? He can't stop the enemy from doing the super. The super is just simply going to go to them and it's going to kind of erase it, right? But with this guy, he just gets rid of it entirely, where they're not going to get that attack raise in the turn, right? Like, so say, like, maybe, who's an example? Like, Gogeta raises his attack on a super, right? If it's the Beast Gohan taunt turn, he's still going to get that attack raise in, and his normals are going to hit harder if they're units that aren't taking double digits, right? But with this guy, it's different because you're doing the supers in the giant form, and there's nothing he can do because it doesn't matter for damage. You come out and you're good to go. So I think that does matter, and something that's also very important with this guy is the key support that he's given when he gets hit, especially when units are starting to become so based on having their 24 key. Like we think about the 6-year EZAs where the crit is guaranteed on the 24 key, and you have Ultimate Gohan, the physical one, who benefits greatly from having 24 key, and we've always memed about how him struggling for key has always been his big issue. And with this Orange Piccolo around, and you take a hit and you get that extra 2 key combined with the Beast giving out 3 key from him getting hit, it makes life so much easier for you when you need the 24 key supers, right? So, Orange Piccolo, you could argue 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 1 is really the only spot I would say no, but 2, 3, 4, wherever you want to put him. I have him at 3 or 4 because I have a soft spot for the units at 2 and 3, but it is a very painful placement coming up, and we'll talk about that now. So, Orange Piccolo 4, and this pains me. It does. If you guys have been watching my channel for a long time, you know how much I adore Ultra Instinct Goku, but I gotta put him at 3. I don't want to take the heat. My biases would put him at 2, but I'm going to be rational. I'm going to put Ultra Instinct Goku at 3. Now, Ultra Instinct Goku, what an EZA. I mean, look at everything that we are doing here. Key +7 and evades enemy attack for the first turn. So guaranteed dodging on turn 1, which is huge. Attack and defense plus 200 at the start of turn. We get additional attack and defense plus 77% when you're at full HP, essentially. I mean, 77%, you can be at like 80, right? Obviously. Chance of launching additional super attack and a chance of evading enemies' attack, including super tap, up 7%, because it used to be 70, not 77, plus an additional attack plus 7% for every attack evaded. So if you dodge 3 attacks, guess what? You're at 98% to dodge. So if you dodge 2 to 3 times, you're essentially going to dodge. Plus an additional key up to 10 and defense plus 30% up to 150 for every attack evaded. So it's no longer just a 30% buff, it's now 150%. And then, you know, his revival skill is like kind of one of the big things that is not great about this guy. Vegeta's is way better, and that's honestly why I probably have him at 2. Starting from the turn, you know, it's very nice. We also have another turn of guaranteed reviving if you get the character's revival skill. So if you can revive with this UI Goku, he has a second turn of dodging. He's hitting consistently, like turn 1, I was seeing him without support hitting like 18 million on that the 24 key, right? And you could see the difference between like a 19 key super attack and a 24 key super attack with this guy. So when you get that 24 key super attack, you're getting a triple super, triple crit, because if you have a guaranteed crit on 24 key and you get a triple super, that's 3 crits, all over 10 million attack stats, like well over 10 million attack stats. It gets out of control pretty quick with how good this guy is. Not to mention, if you dodge 3 attacks, essentially you have a 100% chance to dodge. So despite him being dodge or die, it's almost like the dodging with him is not hard whatsoever. You have the guaranteed dodging, especially in turn 1, but unfortunately, just the fact that it's not going to be rock solid consistency is why I would have Evolution Blue Vegeta above him. And you know, like I said, this hurts. I want to put UI Goku at 2 so bad, but I'm not going to. And so that would obviously mean we know who's at number 1, but we knew that from the start. Oops. Okay, there we go. Evolution Blue Vegeta. Very, very similar unit to what UI Goku is with when we're looking at stuff right here. Like, basically all of this is the same, but instead of him dodging on turn 1, he has guard on top of the damage reduction that he has right here. And then if he gets hit 3 times, he has 80% damage reduction with guard on turn 1. And he's consistently going to be taking things for double digits. He has the same offensive prowess as UI Goku with the guaranteed crits on 24 key and the guaranteed crits on additional super attacks. He's raising his attack and defense on super, compared to UI Goku, who is not doing that. He's just raising his attack because of the dodge chance. This guy is just going to be a little bit more consistent, and I think especially in today's day and age with Dokkan, I think consistency is something that you just have to have. And I don't even think UI Goku is inconsistent. This Vegeta is just going to be more consistent than what UI Goku is going to be. So this isn't to say that UI Goku is bad. I just think Vegeta is a little bit better, which is unfortunate because I'm the big UI Goku guy. But Evolution Blue Vegeta, I have at number 2, and like I said, that makes number 1 extremely obvious. It's Beast Gohan. You guys know how Beast Gohan is at this point. The taunt is the most overpowered thing that isn't Jet Orange Piccolo in terms of what you're doing to the enemy. Being able to take almost every super in the game for double digits. Like, the most I've ever seen this guy take is 300k, which is extremely impressive. On at 55%, you're raising your defense on those super attacks. You're getting the permanent attack stacking on the 18 key. You've got 4 turn defensive raising. You have an action break. You have key 3 support. You have damage reduction. You have guard. You have crit support. This guy's got everything. He is just an absolute Frankenstein monster of everything that's crazy good about this game. I don't really think I need to say much more. We know why Beast Gohan is number 1, but that is the list. So, just to recap, if you guys are watching on the side, we have Future Gohan at number 10, Broly Trio at number 9, the Blue Boys at 8, 7, I have Full Power Broly, 6, I have Gamma 1 and 2, 5, I have Super Saiyan Gogeta, number 4, I have Power Awakened Piccolo, at number 3, I have AGL Ultra Instinct Goku, at number 2, I have In Evolution Blue Vegeta, and at number 1, I have STR Beast Gohan. So, let me know down below what you guys think of this list. Where would you disagree? What placements would you want to put people at? Or is this list terrible? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy today's video, and subscribe if you are new, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the Dokkan content that I post. About 50% of you are not subscribed, so make sure that you double check. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.